ship formation, and it is these type of aircraft that thousands, literally tens of thousands of pilots who flew combat missions in World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. These are the aircraft that they learned to fly in. It's called fingertip formation when they're coming in close, or parade. Air Force calls it fingertip, the Navy calls it parade. The T-34C model is still being used today within the Navy as a trainer. It's the same aircraft you've seen before you, however, it has a turbo. It was also used for navigator training, as well as for training multi-engine pilots. On the airshow circuit doing aerobatics. Imagine an aircraft out there doing aerobatics. T-28. That right cyclone radial coming in from the right, 1,425 horsepower. Initially started out as an 800 horsepower aircraft. The Navy said that's just not cutting the mustard there. We've got to have a little bit more power in the boat. Notice the distinctly different sound on that engine. They should have currently boosted the power from 800 up to 1,420. All right, there coming the T-6 again from the right, giving some wing rocks down the 500-foot line. The first one is led by Rob Hertberg. He goes by call sign of Lips, and Lips flew F-16 to the Air Force. Retired, he's currently working at Ellis Air Force Base in Las Vegas as a contractor. The natural aluminum SNJ-5 is built into the Las Vegas neurosurgeon. On his wing was Jim McGarvey in an extended trail formation, also flying an SNJ built in 1943. The aircraft belongs to the Commemorative Air Force and is based with Air Group 1 out of Gillespie Field in El Cajon. Jim's a retired airline pilot, former Navy pilot, and he flew the F-8 Crusader in Vietnam and later F-4 Phantoms. All right, skipping over to here comes the C-45. Jim Ostrich from La Mesa, California is flying that lead C-45. Also called the Navy called the SNB as in Bravo, the Sierra November Bravo, and this is Texas. Now, after the war, that aircraft was sold and was converted to a passenger transport in 1951. And finally was phased out of, they were eventually phased out of active duty, all of them in 1961. There goes your T-28C model with the hook on. He's got the T-28C Trojan. As I mentioned earlier, the Navy Training Command used these from the late 1950s up until the early 1980s as the advanced trainer. Now, pilots in the 50s and 70s started out in the T-34 and then moved up, if you will, to the T-28. And the Navy did use it, like I said, they used the gear down, the T-45 and the T-28, because they are traditional, they're nose wheel aircraft, whereas the C-45 and the SNJs are tail draggers, or what's probably known as the conventional gear. Everybody calls them tail draggers. And if you find any tail dragger pilots out in the crowd, then believe me, they're a proud lot. The tail draggers are notoriously different. Most aircraft manufacturing companies went to the nose wheel, giving a more stable platform. But I'm telling you, those tail dragger pilots sure take pride in flying those tail draggers. All right, the T-34s that went by. George Washington Temecula leading the two T-34s. His aircraft was an 8, has over 6,000 hours of flight time on it. The aircraft is now based at March Air Reserve Base in Riverside, California, and George served in the U.S. Army. He's a retired Army First Sergeant, and also he is the president of the San Diego chapter of the Tuskegee